ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टां स्थापितमेन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्ता कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो नमो अनिरुद्धाय ऋषिकेश इन्द्रियात्मने, नमः परमहंसाय पूर्णाय निवृत्तात्मने, स्वर्गपवर्गद्वाराय नित्यं शुचिसदे नमः। नमः हिरण्यवीर्याय चातुर्होत्राय तान्तवे। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. So we are continuing with our discussion of the second chapter of the first canto. And in the previous session, which was 2 weeks back, we touched upon a very critical verse, a set of verses. I would just like to repeat them so that we could have some continuity, and then we will get around to discussing today's, verses. Right. So in the previous discussion, we stopped at text. We started with text 16, which says, "Sushrushaha Shraddhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Chan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nisevanat." O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. We linked this to Bhagavad Gita 4.34, that the affinity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is a qualification in itself, and it is not granted as it is. You can hear any different type of katha because Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, and Srimad Bhagavatam is personified Bhakti Rasa. It is, completely pure, and it is the most transcendental of all subject matters and most confidential as well. Srimad Bhagavatam requires a pre-qualification. One may not be able to hear. So the question arises, last week we discussed that the hearing discussed here has nothing to do with the physical aspect of using our hearing, the physical ears, and then being able to hear, someone speak Srimad Bhagavatam. The hearing which is being referred to here is the ability of the Atma, the soul which is within us, the real us, the ability of the Atma to receive realizations from the Paramatma, to receive directions from the Paramatma. The ability of the Atma to become transformed by coming in touch with a transcendental message. That is the process of real hearing. That requires Sukriti. The Sukriti which we are referring to here is Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti. It is easy to attain karma unmukha sukriti. It is easy to come in touch with jnana unmukha sukriti. It's very rare to come in touch with bhakti unmukha sukriti, which is agyata sukriti. How does this sukriti come upon a soul? The sukriti, to be able to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, comes upon a soul by rendering service. When one puts themselves in a position of service, they do so because they have developed faith in an individual. They do so because they have developed faith in an individual. You see, we don't serve. We don't serve ordinarily. We develop faith. We have a certain amount of inclination and we begin serving. So when we start serving a personality who is pure, who is carrying the message of Srimad Bhagavatam in their hearts, they have the ability to bestow such qualification upon us. Right? We also say this in our Guru Vandana, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chitete Kori Aikya. It is the Guru's words that penetrate. So that qualification to hear from the Guru and for his words to penetrate into our ears requires sukriti. It does not happen for everyone, right? So many people attend classes, but very few surrender and then progress on. Of the very few who surrender and progress on, very few or a small percentage, understand the goal. And of those who understand the goal, a small percentage actually attain the goal without distraction. So it's a rare process, even though it may appear as if there's a vast majority of personalities who are involved in, this hearing process and following the process of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? So that is the distinction of hearing which is being spoken of here. The affinity to hear about Vasudeva comes from serving those who carry Vasudeva in their hearts. They have the ability to impregnate our ignorance and place a particle of faith in our hearts, and the particle of faith has the ability to destroy material conditioning because it's spiritual. Okay, the subsequent verses are proving this. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtanah hridayantasto abradrani vidunoti suhrit satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead who is Paramatma, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So the spiritual particle of faith, Shraddha, which is bestowed upon by the transcendentally situated devotee onto those who serve them with diligence, and as a consequence, they bestow this faith. That faith is Krishna. Krishna, the faith, who is the super soul, destroys all the unwanted nonsense from our heart. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service onto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Irrevocable fact, bhavati naistiki. Naistiki bhakti, or irrevocable fact, cannot be established unless one develops sambandha gyan. When one realizes by the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, by the serving of the devotee Bhagavata, they realize their eternal identity as being a resident of Braja. When they realize who they are in relationship to Krishna, they realize who they serve, what their service is, and everything else, then that's an irrevocable fact. The irrevocable fact is when we develop complete knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. That is irrevocable fact. Until then, it is practically a platform where one can fall off. You see, it's very easy for us to serve those whom we have a relationship with, isn't it? When we can identify with someone as an object of service, as an object of love, it is quite natural for us to be able to extend love, extend service to them, right? You have relatives, you have the spouses, you have children, so on and so forth. Why is it so easy to serve? It is because we have established a relationship and we are aware of it. When does the service to Krishna become irrevocable? When does it become a situation where we can never fall off that wagon of being able to serve Krishna? That happens only when our relationship with Krishna is established on firm grounds as an irrevocable fact. When our relationship is fully revealed, it's factual. It is a factual experience. It is not theoretical. It is not some notion that one develops that, oh, maybe I am, such and such with Krishna. It's factual. There are pre-qualifications. What is the pre-qualification? The pre-qualification is all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. What is troublesome to the heart? What is troublesome to us? If you actually reflect on our condition, what is troublesome to us is our desires. The desires that we have in this world, of wanting to engage in this world in different ways, are truly troublesome. They are. They're very unsettling and produce a certain kind of anxiety, which practically, paralyzes some individuals. They can't function unless such desires are granted. They're so focused on it to such an extent where it becomes a liability. So until such time, the unwanted desires, anarthas, are completely taken out. Until such time, we're able to look at Lord Gauranga and we're able to make a statement from the bottom of our heart, not proclaiming the statement in public, but in the bottom of our heart, sincerely, when we really desire, saying, Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya, all I desire is coming into your service and being able to engage in your service. When we are able to say this without any qualms, that you have no other desires, you have no other desires. You may have duties, you will not have desires. Duties are very different. You perform a duty which is given unto you, but then you don't really have desires. Wonderful desires, amazing desires that are connected to this planet. Then, at that point in time, we are qualified to establish Krishna as an irrevocable fact. So one cannot pretend that they know Krishna. One cannot pretend that they have a relationship with Krishna. One cannot really pretend that they are such and such in Vraja. That is called sahajiya. Sahajiya relationships are where you are not qualified to walk on sacred grounds, but you do walk on sacred grounds without any qualification whatsoever. That is sahajiya. Those are the pretenders. Srimad Bhagavatam is saying you cannot do that. Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that irrevocable fact of the relationship that we have with Bhagavan is established only when all that is troublesome to the heart is taken away. Okay? Devotional service has to be uninterrupted and it has to be costless. It cannot have any material cost, which essentially means that we cannot have material desires, neither can we have interruptions. Interruptions are a part of this world. So when both these qualities of apratihata, ahetuki fall in place, then one is able to bring Krishna into their heart and the relationship is established and it is irrevocable and it is a factual experience. There is no more pretense. There is no more pretense. There is no theory. There is no maybe this, maybe that. Okay? As long as there is maybe this, maybe that, things are hazy. Then it means that there's nonsense in the heart, which has to be cleared out. Okay? So that is text 18. So irrevocable fact. Text 19. Tada rajastamo bhavah kamalobadayascha chete ter anaviddam stitam sattve prasiddhati. As soon as irrevocable devotional service, loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. You see, irrevocable loving service, once it is established, then whatever little remains, because in the previous verse they use the word almost completely destroyed. In this verse they are saying everything else goes away as soon as it is established. Almost completely destroyed is when Krishna comes into our heart and then reveals all the information that one has to know to have service in the eternal realm. The subsequent verse in text 19, it is very clear that after that, the devotee is established in goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Sthitam Sattve Prasiddhati. Sthitam Sattve Prasiddhati. This is the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma platform, right? Atmanandi. Srila Prabhupada uses the word in the purport. He calls it Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Atmanandi. Someone who is relishing and who is completely happy. He's completely happy. So what is the definition of happiness? The definition of happiness is to be free of matter. The definition of happiness is to be free of matter. Definition of happiness is not to resolve issues in this world. It's temporary. Okay? Those are the problems. The real problems that we face, all the interruptions that we have in devotional service come because of having desires. Apratihata is not possible when there are so many different desires which are related to identities other than wanting Krishna. Krishna is clear. He's saying, if you want me in your life, then it has to come with a price. The price tag is, you really have to want me. You really have to need me, which means that you cannot have desires related to my separated energies, parts and parcels. You cannot. You really have to reach that point of saying, Krishna, it is you I want. Because that's the mood of the Vrajavasi. The Vrajavasi mood is completely Krishna-centered. It has nothing to do with this world. Nothing to do with this world whatsoever. Okay? They don't even follow the rules, regulations. They have no use for anything because everything is cumbersome. Everything is cumbersome. All they want is to associate with Krishna and serve him. That is the mood of Vraja. It's very confidential, but that is a gift of Mahaprabhu to the world. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Mahaprabhu has given us Krishna Prema. Nobody else has the qualification to give us Krishna Prema because they don't have it. Mahaprabhu, he had it. So he distributed it. He opened the floodgates. He distributed Krishna Prema. Now, text 20. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. So, thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Goodness can be alloyed and goodness can be unalloyed. Sattva can be mixed with Rajas, Sattva can be mixed with Tamas in this particular material world. It is always mixed, it's in touch, somehow or the other. It's like, it is in a container, has three different qualities. And since one container has all three qualities, they keep in touch with each other. So there's some amount of mixture. There's a play. There's a little play of tamas, play of rajas into sattva as long as one is in this world. Okay? But transcendental goodness, which is Shuddha Sattva, is completely free of the influence of tamas and rajas. And complete freedom from tamas and rajas is apratihata. No interruptions whatsoever. So this ananda is extraordinary and it is completely available and thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness. The man whose mind has been enlivened by the contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Positive scientific knowledge, right? Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. What does Krishna say in 4.9? He says that one has to approach a sadhu, right? One has to know Krishna and know his activities, his appearance and his disappearance as being completely transcendental, and one reaches that realization, then they never take birth and there's no death for them. So this is 4.9. The same thing is being repeated here, saying that Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, one has to come to this Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, one has to have scientific knowledge of Krishna. What is scientific anyway? Scientific in one sense is that everybody's experience is the same. In other words, whoever has gone and reached the platform of Brahmabhuta Prasannatma and they have this particular situation of wanting to associate with Krishna, their experiences are consistently recorded. So it's consistent. It is scientific. Okay? It is quite consistent because one is able to record that, put it in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is consistent with the scripture. It is consistent with the experience of other sadhus. Okay? So that is Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. The man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge. Now one knows Krishna. They know who they are. They know who is Krishna. Now they know what is their specific service. And then by doing so, this is the stage of liberation from all material association. Because it is complete knowledge. Okay? Then one enters into the pastimes while they are on this planet. While you chant Shuddhanam, Krishna Prema, one who is in Prema and who is chanting Shuddhanam, enters into the pastimes of the Lord and is able to participate because at such a stage they have Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. They are completely filled with knowledge of the relationship which they have with Krishna. Okay, this is Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. So now text 21 onwards towards end of this chapter. We want to complete it today. Vidyate hridaya gantischadante sarva samshayah kshiyante chasya karmani drishta eva atmanishware. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. You see? When one sees the self as master, when one has attained complete knowledge of their eternal self in the spiritual sky, and when one has complete knowledge of the personality of Godhead based on their adhikar, and they begin their service in the eternal sky, what happens? All the knots with this world are completely cut off. It is cut off. There is no more a situation where such a soul is subjected to cause and effect. What does it mean? There is no more a situation where that soul is going to engage in activity which is going to bring them back to this world. They are both their feet are factually in the spiritual sky. They're physically, they're present in this world. Both their feet are in the spiritual sky. I'm talking about the body, the spiritual body. Both their feet are in the spiritual sky. There's no question of them coming back because there's no question of the repetition of fruitive action. There's no question. You see, it is almost as if someone has packed their bags, they've done everything, they've left India and they've come back to America, right? They have no plans to go to India. I'm just giving an example. If that were to be the case, then they don't operate within the so-called, law of the Indian government and so on and so forth, though they are in the spiritual sky. I'm sorry, they are in the American soil. They are subject to whatever goes on in America. In other words, they don't have any plans whatsoever in India. They're acting here, and then they're dealing with everything here. So in a similar fashion, once one crosses the transcendental platform, once they reach the spiritual sky, they have the ability, or rather, they simply do not create any more reactions. They're going to be situated in the spiritual sky. There would be no more fruitive actions. The chain of fruitive actions is completely removed. Text 22. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya mudam vasudeve bhagavati kurvanti atma prasadinam. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. What does this mean? It certainly means that if there was any goal to have whilst being on this planet, that goal should be to attain Krishna Prema. When such extraordinary experiences await one, within this lifetime, when one has come in touch with Lord Chaitanya and one has received, the benediction of those in the line of Lord Chaitanya, and one is coming under the protection of Srila Prabhupada, then one has no other goal. There can be no other goal. It is extraordinarily fascinating, perhaps, to elevated souls to see souls who have other goals once you come in touch with the transcendental process. So those days, it was not extraordinary that someone in the 20th year, 15th year, 16th year of their life, they decide that, okay, what I have in this world is not worthy, so I'm going to pursue what is beyond this world, or what is beyond matter. So they dedicate their lives to pursuing something which is beyond matter. Because they were very intelligent. Now we hear about Srila Sukadev Goswami. Srila Sukadev Goswami did not even wait for all the samskaras to be done. Okay, he was born, and then he heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, he received knowledge, he received transcendental knowledge, he was enlivened, and then he just left. He began wandering. He realized that there was no point in pursuing the so-called goals of life as enunciated by the Vedas, the so-called four goals of life, right? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Yeah, no point. Because such goals are not enlivening. Now, here, this goal of having the ability to reach a point of receiving personal association of Krishna and his confidential associates, that is the opportunity that has been given to us. The opportunity that has been given to us is to have the personal association of Krishna and his associates. Right? Now, if there is any other goal which is more worthy than this one, then we should present it so that the world and everyone else can follow it. There is really no other goal which is worthy. Knowing this, the sadhus, right? The sadhus, the enlightened souls, they pursue this with great enthusiasm because it's enlivening. And the beauty is that there are milestones to reach. If you're a serious practitioner of the chanting of the holy names, if you're a serious practitioner of the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, then there are milestones that can be experienced at every stage. It is not so much of theory, it's practical. These are milestones. Every one of us, no matter how deeply or superficially we follow Krishna consciousness, have experiences that we can allude to. Okay, there is no denying the fact that we have experiences. Text 23. Sattvam rajastama iti prakritir gunaistir yuktah parapurushe ekayasya date sthitiyadye harivirinchi hareti samagyah shreyamsi tatra kalu sattva tanor ninam shuhu. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Okay? Now, this is a very important verse where we are saying that he accepts the three qualitative forms. He accepts three qualitative forms. The first expansion of Krishna in Raja, Rajendranandan Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From him, the first expansion is Baladev, the servitor Godhead. Balaram is the servitor Godhead. It is this Balaram who expands into the every other personality who steps out of Raja. Okay? Everyone else is Balaram. Lord Ramachandra is Balaram. It is Balaram who expands as Lord Rama. It is Balaram who expands as Lord Narasimha. Krishna, Vrajendranandan, is in Raja. He never leaves Raja. It is Balaram who expands. Now the same Balaram, in order to manage the world, expands as Sankarshana. Then he expands again as Narayana. Narayana expands as the second, quadruple form of Sankarshana. Then Sankarshana expands as Karanodakashayi Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Shirodakashayi Vishnu, and then ultimately, the Gunavataras as well. So when the Lord is lying in the Karana ocean, when he lies in the Karana ocean, Karana is cause, right? Causal ocean, Karana ocean. When he is lying in the Karana ocean and he is looking, and at the end of creation, everything returns into his body. So at each and every breath of the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, all the universes are merging. Lord Brahmas of all the universes perish, and then new universes come in being. When each and every new universe comes into being, he enters into this universe as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu to maintain these universes. After entering into this universe as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, he also expands into each and every living entity as the super soul to offer personal guidance to deliver these living entities. Now, the same Karanodakashayi Vishnu, when he wants to, when he wants to expand, what does he do? He glances at material nature. At the end of creation, material nature is a lump of clay. This lump of clay is called primordial matter. Matter which has no life. It is a lump of clay. There is a Shakti who manages this lump of clay. That Shakti is the main mantra for the Buddhists. Okay, the Buddhists have their own specific Shakti mantra. The Buddhists want to merge into this primordial clay, Shunya, where there is no variety, it is just clay. It is like you go and buy modeling clay from the market. It has no variety. It has not taken any specific form. It has no distinction. Everything looks like the same. There is one Shakti of the Supreme Lord who manages the primordial matter. The Buddhists chant the mantra of such a primordial Shakti. That is their primary means of reaching that particular place, Shunyavad. Okay? So when the primordial matter, which is the lump of clay, exists, then Karanodakashayi Vishnu, he glances at the lump of clay. Why does he glance? Because at the end of creation, all the souls are within him. They merge back into his existence, and he begins to glance at this primordial clay, and he impregnates the primordial clay with primordial clay, or whatever it is, creation, with the souls. And then the souls begin acting. It is that action which again starts the whole process of creation and so on and so forth. Okay? So now this glance of Mahavishnu, Karanodakashayi Vishnu is also called Mahavishnu. The glance of Mahavishnu is Lord Shiva. It is the glance of Mahavishnu is Lord Shiva. So the glance is the glance, the glance is what deals with matter. Similarly, his consort expands into Mother Durga. Last 10 days we celebrated Navaratri. So Mother Durga is an expansion of the consort of Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Lord Shiva is an expansion of Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Okay? So when Lord Vishnu wants to assume the Purusha Avatara and wants to engage in the process of creation, maintenance, and destruction, he expands into Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, which is Vishnu Rupa for the maintenance of the material energy. From the Garbhodaka ocean, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu's navel, Brahma emerges, which is the qualitative, creative capacity of the Lord. And from the glance of Mahavishnu, Lord Shiva emerges, who destroys. Okay? Since all these personalities are expansions of Shankarshana, Lord Shiva is called Shankar Bhagavan because he meditates on Sankarshana. His capacity to destroy, create, maintain. Ultimately, Lord Shiva is like an authority in the material world. That capacity comes from the meditation on Lord Shankarshan. Ananta. Lord Shiva meditates on Lord Ananta. He receives the potency from Lord Ananta. That is the reason why Lord Ananta, Balaram, is the spiritual master of the whole world. Lord Shiva is also considered to be the spiritual master of the whole world because he performs the same function. So Lord Shiva has the distinct capability of destroying matter. Matter is ignorance, right? So he removes tamas. He is in charge of tamas. So he plays the role of the spiritual master of destroying tamas. The same duty is performed by the spiritual master, Guru, in our lives. The Guru comes into our life and destroys tamas. So Lord Shiva and Guru Tattva and Shiva Tattva, they're equated. They're equated because both tattvas, the personalities are the same, and they perform the same role of removing tamas. They remove tamas. They remove ignorance. They bestow knowledge. Lord Shiva does the same. Guru does the same. The origin of both Shiva and Guru is Balaram. In his need and his desire of wanting to serve Krishna, he expands into different personalities. Okay? So now, the point we want to establish here is that this is a management situation where Balaram expands into the creation, maintenance, and destruction personalities. Amongst the three, Lord Vishnu is the one who is situated in the spiritual sky. So if one is really desiring apratihata ahetuki bhakti, which is uninterrupted, then one has to desire someone whose position itself is in a spot which is completely uninterrupted. Right? So what is recommended in the Shastra is that of all these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Ultimate benefit. Ultimate benefit is above the material world. That benefit is given by Vishnu. Now, text 24. Parthiva daruno dumas tasmad agnistrayimaya tamasastu rajastasmat sattvam yad brahma darshanam. Firewood is a transformation of earth. If you plant a tree and then the tree offers us firewood, so firewood is a transformation of earth. But smoke is better than raw wood. So now they're going one level higher. Firewood is gross. If you burn firewood, what emerges first? Smoke. And smoke is superior to just raw wood. Fire is even better. Once the smoke clears, fire is of an even higher quality than the smoke. For by fire, we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion. So now they're comparing. Passion is better than ignorance, but goodness is best because by goodness, one can come to realize the absolute truth. So passion is better than tamas. Having attachments, fruitive desires, is a quality of passion. It is passion. Okay? Passion is better than wanting to engage in activity which is harmful to the self and harmful to others. But even better is sattva, because sattva gives us a platform to go higher. One has to be sattvic for them to even anticipate going higher. One has to reach the airport if you want to take off. That is the goodness part. Text 25. Bejire munayo tagare Bhagavatam adokshajam sattvam vishuddham shemaya kalpante enutaniha. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. What does Lord Shiva do? Lord Shiva is considered to be the Param Vaishnav. The Param Vaishnav is not seen enjoying. When you see Krishna's pictures, even Vishnu Tattva, what do you see Vishnu Tattva doing? They are normally reclining on Ananta. They are reclining on Sesha. Mother Lakshmi is massaging their feet. They are resting. It is almost as if they're enjoying. They're in Nidra or they're enjoying. Krishna, he has so many wonderful pastimes of enjoyment. What do we see Lord Shiva doing? It is almost rare to see Shiva enjoying. The pictures can be drawn by his devotees, but then the point is that he doesn't quite enjoy. You always see Shiva in deep meditation. So what does he do? This Param Vaishnav is constantly meditating on the holy names, constantly meditating, relishing on the holy names. Right? He is Atmaram, he is Atmanandi. He is transcendentally situated. Right? He is not Jiva, he is superior. He is not Vishnu. But he is transcendently situated because he is constantly chanting the name of Lord Gauranga. He is constantly relishing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. He is constantly chanting the holy names. Lord Shiva. So what do we see him doing? He becomes an inspiration for us. Where one comes into this world, engages with material energy. No one engages more with material energy than Lord Shiva. He is the seed-giving father for every living entity. So he is not a sannyasi in that sense. He is a seed-giving father. He is married to Parvati Devi. He engages with her fully. But yet, he is transcendentally situated, completely absorbed in the holy names. So he is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. He does not hesitate to take on service. He does not hesitate He doesn't really think that the world would question me if I were to dance with, the demons, and, if I were to dance with the ghouls, the ghosts, and so on and so forth in the cremation ground. He carries intense compassion. He is also said to be Rudra. Rud means to cry. He cries when he destroys material creation. Why? Because it is a part of his creation. These are his children. He is the seed-giving father. He is a seed-giving father. So he does shed tears. So in such a situation, he is a great inspiration for all of us because he is fully in touch with material energy, but not overtaken or overpowered. He is always transcendently situated and completely free of envy. Shiva means completely free of envy, no enviousness whatsoever. That's why he is very auspicious. No enviousness, no matter who comes in front of him, he does not really judge the person. He does not discriminate and judge the person negatively. Discrimination and judgment is required, but he does not judge them negatively. He does not say that you are shape of, your face is such and such, your body is such and such, you are this and you are that. He doesn't do that. He accepts that. It is fascinating. It is fascinating to see that he can perform all of this and also be completely transcendently situated, completely unaffected. That is why he is a Param Vaishnava. He is the greatest preacher of all. Imagine going into all kinds of situations, always being transcendently situated, not forgetting who he is, but yet being able to deliver those whom no one will even care for. He constantly even looks after those whom no one will even care for. No one wants the association of personalities who surround him, and he doesn't mind having them around. He helps them. So that particular inspiration is the inspiration of the Param Vaishnava. Mumukshava Gora Rupan Hitva Bhuta Patinata Narayana Kala Shanta Bhajanti Anasuyavaha. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious. What is envy? Envy is caused when there are desires. When we have having desires is a pre-qualification for envy. Because when we have desires and we look at others who have accomplished those desires, we become envious. Envy is a follow-on for material desires. So those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious. And they have respect for all. So people who are serious about departing from the material universe, they have respect for everybody. They are non-envious. But then, why do Vaishnavas discriminate and want to surrender to Vishnu Tattva? That is the question which is being answered here in this verse. It's actually pertinent because to discriminate and to differentiate and to engage in duality is a matter of enviousness, where we are saying someone is superior, someone is inferior. So the Vaishnavas are non-envious. But why are they followers of only Vishnu? Why do they not want to worship the demigods? That's the question which is being answered here. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. And the reason is Vishnu Tattva is transcendently situated. If you want to accomplish the goals of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is ahaituki, that which has no material cause, and apratihata, no interruption, then the demigods themselves are going to be interrupted at the end of creation. So they don't qualify for the apratihata. So the pleasure derived is not going to be apratihata. It is going to be interrupted. The demigods themselves have a material cause. They manifest themselves during creation and then they become unmanifest. All the demigods, Lord Indra and so on and so forth, they all are positions. They come and they go. So worshipping them is not done by the Vaishnavas because the Vaishnavas are focused on pratihata, apratihata, ahaituki. They want pleasure, which is apratihata and ahaituki. They want to engage in the worship of Lord Vishnu, who is transcendently situated. So if you want to liberate yourself from matter, why involve yourself in matter? Those who worship the demigods have desires to fulfill. If you have desires to fulfill, the demigods give those desires much faster. But those who are seeking liberation, they do not have material desires. So they have no use to worship the demigods. They would focus on worshipping Vishnu Tattva. And only Vishnu Tattva is transcendently situated for them to be able to attain them. Lord Shiva worships Shankarshana. Lord Shiva worships Lord Shankarshana. When Vaishnavas worship Lord Shiva, we accept him as spiritual master. We don't worship him as God, we accept him as spiritual master. We accept him as Param Vaishnav. So we take the prasad which is given to Jagannath, we offer it to Shiva. We take the prasad which is given to Lord Narasimha, we offer it to Lord Shiva. Because he is pleased with that. He is not pleased directly by not involving him as a servant of the Lord. That is his pleasure. Rajastamah prakrityah samashila bhajanti vai pitrabhuta praje sadin Shri Aishwarya praje savah. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, if they are in the mode of passion, they will have attachments. Those attachments need fulfillment. If you need fulfillment of attachments, then you have to worship those who can fulfill those attachments. The demigods provide different facilities for the fulfillment of attachments. So people worship them. People worship them for that purpose. And the forefathers. And those in the mode of ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings. Other living beings. The forefathers are worshipped by those who perform fruitive activities as well. But the other living beings are worshipped by those in the mode of ignorance. You see, there are so many personalities in India. It's very common, I've seen, of temples being built for film stars. It's fascinating. It is fascinating to see how temples get built for film stars. They have no power. They have captivated them. They're human beings. They age quite rapidly. Many of them practically have no good qualities whatsoever. But temples get erected and they get worshipped, which is fascinating to see. So Srimad Bhagavatam, 5,000 years back, was not giving us anything which we don't see now. We do see this extraordinary worship of political leaders. Right? Political leaders are considered to be, they're almost worshipped in many parts. Psychophancy, we call it. Right? It's fascinating to see how much people have deviated because of their consciousness. It is seen here. Text 28 and 29. Vasudeve paraveda, Vasudeva paramakaha, Vasudeva parayoga, Vasudeve parakriyaha, Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapaha, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragatihi. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. This is the conclusion of the Bhagavatam. and it is the conclusion of all acharyas. Text 30. Saeva vedam sasargagre Bhagavan Atmamayaya Sadasad Rupaya Chasho Gunamaya Guno Vibhuhu. In the beginning of the material creation, that absolute personality of Godhead Vasudeva, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. This is what we spoke of the Karnodakashayi, Kshirodakashayi, Garbhodakashayi Vishnus, who are the Purusha avatars. They all engage with their Shaktis to engage and to create and to destroy and so on and so forth. So, in his transcendental position, he created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. This is internal potency because they are Vishnu Tattva. Taya vilisiteshu guneshu gunavaniva antah pravishta bhati vijnanena vijrambataha. After creating the material substance, the Lord expands himself and enters into it. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. The super soul exists in the body of even a worm, a very insignificant, abominable creature. The super soul is directing even such an entity, which is fascinating. The Garbhodakashayi expansions are practically managing the universes. They manage the universes by allowing the universes and the planetary bodies and so on to float. Whole power of everything within a universe is provided by Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Lord Brahma is created by him. He is a created being, secondary creator. Yatahi avahito vahnir darushvaye kasvayonishu naneva bhati vishvatma bhuteshu chatatapuman. The Lord as super soul pervades all things just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, although he is the absolute one without a second. Aso gunamayer bhaver bhuta sukshmendriyatmabhi swanirmiteshu nirvishto bhumte bhuteshu tadgunan. The super soul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. He causes them to enjoy the effects of the modes by the subtle mind. Bhavyati esha satvena lokan vai loka bhavanah lila avatara nurato devatirya naradishu. Thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. All the pastimes are performed to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Vishnu Tattva, Vishnu avatars, they are an inspiration. Vishnu Tattva are an inspiration for the Jivas. The Jiva looks upon the different avatars as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Vishnu Purana and the other Puranas. They become inspired. And as a becoming inspired by one of the avatars, or more than one, they attain the qualities of the avatars by performing devotional service and by chanting the holy names associated with a specific avatar. By doing so, they are able to leave material energy and enter into the spiritual sky. Every Vishnu avatar has their own spiritual planet. Lord Narasimha has his spiritual planet. Lord Kurma has his spiritual planet. Lord Varaha has his spiritual planet in Vaikuntha. Everybody has their realm. Those who are inspired to worship these different personalities, they all reach those different realms at the end of their particular cycle. When they become purified and they reach the qualitative oneness with such an avatar. Qualitative oneness. So the Vishnu avatars are inspiring, and that is the last statement of divinity and divine service. The second chapter. So that was the last verse. Okay. So we touched upon several points and we've concluded the second chapter. And the next session, which is on Thursday, we'll begin the third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. We will now just take these questions which are already here and we'll try and see what we could address. The first question was from Lakshmi. You emphasize that serving elevated devotees will enhance their ability to listen to Bhagavatam. Can you please elaborate with some examples on how householders like us can implement serving elevated devotees on day-to-day life? You see, we are very fortunate to be a part of the movement of a very, very elevated and extraordinarily well-situated devotee, which is Srila Prabhupada. So serving in the movement of Srila Prabhupada is serving Srila Prabhupada. Reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, following his instructions, is serving Srila Prabhupada. You see, when we follow the instructions of a personality, we are engaging in the glorification and service of that personality as well. We are surrendering. So that is direct service. So when Srila Prabhupada said, chant a certain number of rounds, follow certain principles, engage in seva, reading Srila Prabhupada's translations, that is seva to Srila Prabhupada. If we really want to remain dedicated to Srila Prabhupada, ensure that we are dedicating ourselves to the reading of the books written by Srila Prabhupada. Lay out our foundation with Srila Prabhupada's books. If you want to further your knowledge beyond what Srila Prabhupada has already offered us, be sure to do so only after creating a good foundation with Srila Prabhupada's books. Read Prabhupada's books and make sure that you are an expert in Srila Prabhupada's books. And after doing so, then we are situated under the protection of Srila Prabhupada. After doing so, we start exploring other literature written by even our own Vaishnava Acharyas. Because this foundation has been done so with great care by Prabhupada. He wanted to protect us. He wanted to give us what was foundational. So if we take this up, then we are situating ourselves in a safe spot, and then we can further move forward. Okay? So that's the point which we want to make here, is that serving Prabhupada on a daily basis, get up in the morning, offer Guru Vandana, follow the principles which have been given by him, serve in his movement, and automatically you are serving elevated devotees on a day-to-day life because you're following the instructions of an elevated devotee. Can you explain about the milestones that one can see when they read the Srimad Bhagavatam? The milestones that one can see when they read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. There are two things. One is Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendentally situated. In other words, it is conscious literature. So as we increase our consciousness and our perception and our understanding by the chanting of the holy names, to that extent, Srimad Bhagavatam would reveal and give us experiences. One is able to understand milestones. The milestones in devotional service, quite distinctly, are given by our acharyas. Srila Rupa Goswami has explained the milestones in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has extracted those milestones and expanded on those in Madhurya Kadambini. There is a nice delineation of milestones even in Harinam Chintamani. One can learn from those. Right? We talk about Shraddha, faith. We talk about coming in touch with the sadhus, sadhu sangha. Then we talk about bhajana kriya, anartha nivartihi, right? Nishtha, ruchi, ashakti, bhava, and ultimately Krishna prema. All these milestones are expanded upon in Madhurya Kadambini. And these are touched upon with quite some detail in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So if one wants to learn milestones, one goes to those literature. And those milestones will also be seen in Srimad Bhagavatam. One is able to see references to being fixed. One is able to see references to being, in Ashakti or Ruchi, Namaruchi. The holy names are glorified in the beginning, middle, and end in Srimad Bhagavatam as well. So one is able to strike a parallel between Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Madhurya Kadambini, and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, those literatures have their basis in Srimad Bhagavatam. Our acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatana Goswami, these 6 Goswamis, drew from the Srimad Bhagavatam to provide us with literature to enthuse us. So milestones are seen throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, but a more clear delineation is seen in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and in Madhavya Kadambini. I don't know if I've answered your questions, but the second point which I wanted to mention was the point that I mentioned earlier, is that the idea of being able to read Srimad Bhagavatam and also being able to chant. If one is able to chant the pure name, then Srimad Bhagavatam reveals itself in a very profound way to the chanter of the pure name. Someone who is a beginner has a certain revelation from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you have different gradations of experiences to the same gradations of experiences offered by the same text to different people based on the level of consciousness. So the experiences differ as well when someone reads. Thank you. Okay, is there anything else? We will wait for a minute. We'll see if there are any more questions. Okay, I don't see any more questions. If there are any, please post them. I would still be able to address those questions in a subsequent session. So we'll meet again on Thursday, and Thursday we will start the third chapter of the first canto, and we'll see where our discussion goes. Hare Krishna.